Have you ever felt as though your life were magnetized to suffering? Every time you think you're heading towards solid ground, you slip back into the same old pits of disappointment, heartbreak, or frustration. You look for fresh starts, new jobs, new friendships, new relationships. But the outcome feels eerily familiar. The new partner grows distant. The dream job brims with hidden stress. The supportive friend turns critical. You scratch your head and wonder, why does this keep happening to me? If this sounds like your story, you're not alone. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist who explored the hidden layers of our minds, believed that the pain we attract isn't random. It's born of parts of ourselves we've never faced, our shadow. That shadow is a reservoir of emotions, memories, and desires we consider unacceptable, so we shove them out of sight. But the things we bury don't vanish. They gain power in darkness, steering our choices and relationships toward the exact experiences we'd hope to avoid. Imagine walking through a house you've never fully explored. Some rooms you've cordoned off, convinced they hold nothing but dust and cobwebs. But those rooms are filled with the furniture of your past, unlived dreams, hidden wounds, forgotten sorrows. Every time you back away from the door, you reinforce the shadows there. And every time those rooms flood with darkness, they leak into the rest of the house. You find yourself acting out old dramas, repeating painful patterns, and wondering why life keeps dealing you the same cards. The shadow is not some sinister force from a horror movie. It's a natural part of being human. You might carry a shadow of unacknowledged anger. Maybe you felt powerless watching someone you loved suffer abuse, and you told yourself, "I must stay calm." Over time, that anger got locked in a cellar and labeled bad. Yet under pressure, it bursts out in sharp words or silent resentment. Or you might carry a shadow of shame. Maybe you were teased in childhood for being different, and you vowed never to stand out again. That vow can warp into a reluctance to share your true gifts, leaving you restless and unfulfilled. Each shadow facet clings to its own pain point. Unrecognized anger breeds relationships that ignite your rage, because only by exploding can the bottled fury escape. Unseen shame draws you to situations that flash your deepest embarrassments, mistakes or exposures that echo your childhood humiliation. The shadow writes a script of pain, and you star in it without realizing you're on stage. Jung also described how we project our shadow onto others. When we see in someone else the very trait we refuse to own, we point fingers at them. They're so selfish. They're too needy. They're impossible to please. Yet a keen look often reveals that we struggle with those same tendencies. Projection is the mind's trick to avoid looking in the mirror. By casting our unwanted traits onto someone else, we avoid the discomfort of self-examination. But we trap ourselves in endless loops of blame. Perhaps you met a coworker who seems lazy and unreliable. You seethe, thinking, "I don't know how they keep their job." But inside, have you ever skipped crucial follow-through? Or hidden your own mistakes because you feared judgment? That buried self-doubt looks for an outlet, and it finds it in the person who checks Facebook on company time. The more you rail against their behavior, the more you cement your own blind spot. Why do these patterns feel so familiar? Because your shadow has locked them into your unconscious software. You carry a silent playlist of hurts and fears, and your mind eagerly downloads songs that match those tracks. If you believe deep down that you're unlovable, you subconsciously gravitate to partners who confirm that belief. They pull away, criticize you, or abandon you in subtle ways. If you believe you're destined to fail, you might pick jobs where success is sabotaged by under-resourced teams or micromanaging bosses. Unseen fears become self-fulfilling prophecies. Even the sweetest moments can turn sour when the shadow stirs beneath them. A promotion feels thrilling until the old fear of being outed as a fraud, imposter syndrome, pushes you to overwork and isolate, driving colleagues away. An affectionate friendship feels comforting until the buried fear of rejection pushes you to test that friendship with jealousy or passive-aggressive jabs. The shadow wields pain like a magnet, bending your life path toward what hurts you most until you finally notice the pattern. Jung didn't view pain as punishment. He saw it as a teacher tapping on your shoulder. When you get burned by the same pattern, that sting is an invitation. Something here needs your attention. Instead of railing against the pain, consider leaning in with curiosity. What old story is playing out right now? Where have I felt this knot in my chest before? The answer is rarely quick or pretty, but it's the key to stepping off the treadmill of suffering. Let's say you break up with someone because they never seem to meet your needs. You hurt, then move on, then hurt again. Jung would ask, what is your shadow telling you about where your needs come from? Perhaps a childhood filled with emotional neglect left you craving validation you never received. Without noticing it, you pursue partners who withhold affection just enough to replay the old wound. The real work isn't fixing your relationship skills. It's facing the neglected child within and acknowledging that child's pain. Of course, you don't have to sign up for a multi-year therapy program to begin this exploration. A simple way to start is by noticing your emotional triggers, those punch-in-the-gut feelings that flare up out of nowhere. When you feel them, pause and name the sensation. This is anger. This is fear. This is rejection. Then ask, have I felt this before? Where? You don't need to solve anything right away. Just giving the shadow a name loosens its grip and shines the first beam of light into the cellar. Another gentle invitation from Jung is to honor your dreams. When you wake from a vivid or upsetting dream, write it down. Notice symbols: water, falling, being chased, and ask what emotion they carry. Dreams are the unconscious speaking in metaphor. They often replay shadow scenes in surreal forms. If you dream of flooding, perhaps you're overwhelmed by emotions you've held back. If you dream of running, perhaps you're fleeing from a part of yourself you fear. Paying attention to these nightly messages opens a dialogue with your deeper mind. Breaking the spell of repeated pain takes patience. You won't explode a shadow overnight. There will be missteps. You'll call out a friend unfairly. You'll spiral with self-judgment. You'll stumble into another old trap. But each slip is information, a fresh opportunity to notice your shadow's choreography. Over time, the dance loses its power. You catch yourself before you fall. You choose a different response. You rewrite the ending of the scene. As Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. That fate can feel cruel, but it's really homegrown. Each heartbreak, each betrayal, each moment of self-sabotage is a fingerprint of your shadow's influence. When you finally face those hidden parts, anger, shame, fear, you transform pain into purpose. The same energy that once propelled you towards suffering can become the force that drives your creativity, deepens your compassion, and expands your joy. Imagine stepping out of a dark room into sunlight. At first, the brightness hurts your eyes, but soon you see the world in full color for the first time. That is what happens when you bring your shadow into the light. Your relationships shift. People mirror back not only your wounds, but also your wholeness. Your career evolves. You pursue work that honors your gifts instead of replaying the scripts of inadequacy. Your self-talk softens. You greet your fears as old friends rather than hideous monsters. The journey is far from easy. You'll need moments of courage to sit with your discomfort. You'll have to unlearn habits of blame and shame. You'll confront parts of yourself that you once wished away. But on the other side of that labor, you claim your freedom. You are no longer a puppet of unseen forces. You become the conscious author of your own life. Pain stops being a sentence when it becomes a signal, a call to self-knowledge. Jung taught that each wound we carry offers the gift of insight if we dare to unwrap it. When you finally answer that call, you break the cycle of attracting pain. You no longer magnetize suffering, you magnetize growth, connection, and possibility. So the next time your heart tightens in familiar fear, or you feel that sinking in your gut at the onset of conflict, pause and ask, what part of me is still hidden? Trust that the answer, however hard to hear, will set you on a new path. One where pain no longer shadows your steps, but illuminates them. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more content like this.